Alex Carter was 32 years old when he stopped believing his camera could save him. He was a photographer, weddings mostly, some portraits, the occasional corporate headshot. He worked out of a converted garage behind a rental house where the roof leaked and the heating barely worked. His equipment was good, but aging. His calendar had more empty spaces than bookings. But Alex had a dream once. He'd imagined shooting for magazines. Real stories. Human faces that told truths. Work that moved people, that mattered. Maybe his own gallery show one day, with his name in clean letters on a white wall. The dream was still there, buried under credit card statements and grocery store instant coffee. What killed dreams, Alex had learned, wasn't lack of talent. It was debt. The slow, suffocating weight of money owed. Rent came whether he booked clients or not. His car payment didn't care about his artistic vision. 2 years ago, he'd made a mistake. His mother needed surgery. Emergency, expensive, uninsured. Alex had been desperate. He'd borrowed money from the only person who'd offered, Richard Halden, a wealthy real estate developer who'd hired Alex once to photograph a charity gala. Halden had been generous, almost kind. He'd waved away talk of interest rates and repayment schedules. "Pay me back when you can," he'd said, smiling. No rush. Alex should have known better. Nothing came without a price. On a Thursday morning in late October, when frost made his garage windows opaque and his breath came out in clouds, Alex's phone rang. The voice was smooth, familiar, patient. "Alex." "Richard Halden. How are you?" Alex's stomach dropped. He hadn't made a payment in 4 months. "I'm managing," Alex said carefully. Good, good. Listen, I'm calling about that loan. I think it's time we settled accounts." Alex looked at his bank balance on the computer screen. $300. "I need a little more time." "Or," Halden interrupted gently, "you could do me a favor instead. Simple photography work. 1 week, maybe 2. After that, we're even. Clean slate." Alex closed his eyes. "What kind of work?" "I'll explain in person. Can you meet me this afternoon?" Alex looked at the stack of bills on his desk. "Yeah," he said. "I can meet you." Before we continue with Alex's story, kindly take a moment to tell us where you are watching from in the comment section. Now let's see what choice Alex makes. Halden's office was all glass and steel, high above the town center. The view stretched for miles. "My wife," Halden said, standing at the window with his hands in his pockets, "is having an affair." Alex shifted in the leather chair. "I'm sorry to hear that. I need proof." "Photographs." Halden turned, his face calm, almost sympathetic. "I know this isn't your usual work, but you're talented. You're discreet. And more importantly, I trust you." The words felt like a trap closing. "Mr. Halden, I'm not really. I don't do surveillance work. I'm not asking you to hide in bushes, Alex. Just document her daily routine. Where she goes, who she meets. Beautiful, candid photography. You're good at that." He smiled. "Do this, and your debt disappears." $15,000. Gone. Alex felt the weight of it. $15,000 he didn't have. Would never have. "How long?" Alex asked quietly. 2 weeks. Maybe less if you find what I'm looking for." Alex nodded slowly. "I'll do it." The job should have been straightforward. Follow the woman. Take the pictures. Deliver them. Erase the debt. Alex had photographed hundreds of people. He knew how to be invisible, how to catch moments people didn't know they were showing. But something felt wrong from the beginning. Elena Halden lived behind walls and gates and cameras. The house looked like a museum. Cold. Perfect. Empty. Alex watched her for 3 days, his camera ready, feeling like an intruder in his own skin. Elena drove a silver BMW. Every afternoon, she went to a cafe called The Mill. She sat in the back corner, ordered tea, and stared out the window with a face that looked like it had forgotten how to rest. Alex took pictures. Wide shots. Close-ups. Candid moments. But they all told the same story, a woman utterly alone. Library. Clinic. Grocery store. Home. No mysterious meetings. No hotel visits. No affair. On the 4th day, at the mill, someone finally sat down across from her. Alex raised his camera by instinct, framing the shot through the window. Then he saw the man's face. His hands froze. Tom. His brother. The shutter clicked 3 times before Alex could process what he was seeing. Tom slid a manila envelope across the table. Elena took it with shaking hands, glanced around nervously, then tucked it into her purse. They spoke briefly, 90 seconds, maybe less. Then Tom stood and walked out the back exit. Alex sat in his car for 20 minutes, staring at the images on his camera's display screen. His younger brother, the person he'd protected, defended, bailed out more times than he could count. What was Tom doing with Elena Halden? If you're still watching, kindly like this video and subscribe to this channel. It encourages us to make more videos like this. Thank you. Now, back to the story. The obvious answer made Alex feel sick. An affair. It had to be. And Tom had gotten himself tangled up with the worst possible woman. The wife of a man who owned half the town and held Alex's future in his hands. That night, Alex found Tom at their mother's old house, heating up leftover Chinese food in the microwave. "Hey," Tom said, smiling that easy smile that had charmed teachers and cops and disappointed parents. "Want some? I got extra lo mein." Alex stood in the doorway, his camera bag still on his shoulder. "Rough day?" Tom asked, looking up. Alex wanted to throw the photos on the table, wanted to shout, wanted to grab his brother by the shoulders and ask what the hell he was thinking. But he just nodded and went upstairs to his old room. He lay awake until dawn, turning it over. The affair made sense, except it didn't. Tom was reckless, but not cruel. And Elena, she hadn't looked like a woman in love. She'd looked terrified. The next morning, Alex went back to the mill. He ordered coffee and sat by the window, trying to figure out his next move. Turn in the photos and betray his brother? Confront Tom first? Walk away and stay buried in debt forever? An older man sat down at the table beside him without asking. Gray hair, calm eyes, hands that moved with deliberate care. He ordered tea, then turned slightly toward Alex. "You're carrying something heavy," he said quietly. Alex frowned. "Just thinking. Thinking or deciding. Does it matter?" The man smiled. He reached into his pocket and placed 2 smooth stones on Alex's table. One black basalt, one white quartz. 2 paths, he said. Both real. Both will cost you. But only one lets you keep who you are. He stood, left money for his tea, and walked out. Alex stared at the stones. He pocketed them without knowing why. Alex followed Elena again the next day, still not knowing what he was going to do. She made a sudden turn into a neighborhood he didn't recognize. Row houses, chain-link fences, kids' bikes in dead grass. She parked in front of a faded building, 2847. She checked over her shoulder twice before going inside. Alex waited, then followed. The building smelled like mildew and cooking oil. He climbed to the 3rd floor, listening to his footsteps echo in the stairwell. A door at the end of the hall stood slightly open. "Alex." He spun around. Tom stood at the top of the stairs, blocking his exit. "What are you doing here?" Alex's voice was sharp. Tom looked tired, older than 28. "We need to talk. Come inside." The apartment was small and dim. Boxes lined the walls. A single lamp cast long shadows. Elena stood by the window. When she turned, Alex saw it. The way she held her left arm against her body. The fading bruise along her jaw, covered with makeup, but visible in the wrong light. "She's not having an affair," Tom said quietly, closing the door. "She's running." Alex felt his world tilt. Running from what? Elena met his eyes. She looked exhausted. "From my husband." She pulled up her sleeve. The bruises were a timeline. Purple, yellow, green, old and new, layered like evidence of a war. Alex's camera suddenly felt obscene in his hands. "He tracks everything," Elena said, her voice steady but small. "My phone, my car, my money. I tried to leave last year. He found me in 6 hours. He said next time, he'd destroy me. Take my mother's house, empty my accounts, ruin my name. He said he'd bury me so deep no one would ever find me." Tom stepped forward. "She needs documents. Passport, bank records, legal papers. All locked in a safe she can't access. I've been helping her make copies. Building a case." Alex sank against the wall, his mind racing. "Halden hired me to photograph you," Alex said slowly, looking at Elena. "He knows you're planning something." Elena's face went white. "If you give him those photos," Tom said, "he'll know she's talking to someone. He'll escalate." "Alex," Tom's voice cracked. "He might kill her." Alex pulled out his camera. The photos felt like poison. "I owe him $15,000, Alex said. "If I don't deliver, I'm finished. He'll bury me too." "I know," Tom said. "Why didn't you tell me?" "Because you needed out of that debt. And I didn't want you to have to choose." Alex walked to the window, looked out at nothing. The stones were in his pocket. He touched them without thinking. 2 paths. One truth. He needed freedom from that debt. Halden had him trapped. This was his only way out. He'd taken the job. That's how the world worked. You paid what you owed. The other truth. A woman's life hung in the balance. I don't know what to do, Alex admitted. The room was silent except for the old radiator clanking. Elena spoke, her voice stronger now. You have a choice. Give him the photos and walk away. I won't blame you. You have your own life, your own problems. She paused. Or you can help me survive long enough to file the restraining order and get away from him. Alex thought about his dream. The gallery show. The magazine work. His name on a white wall. He thought about what that dream was supposed to mean. What kind of photographer he'd wanted to be. Someone who captured truth. Someone who saw people clearly and showed the world what mattered. If I help you, Alex said slowly, Halden will come after me. Yes, Tom said. I'll lose my way out. The debt stays. Maybe gets worse. Probably. And if he finds out I lied. It gets worse, Tom finished. Alex looked at his brother. Then at Elena. Then at the camera in his hands. He opened it, pulled out the memory card, and bent it until it snapped. Okay, he said. What do you need? The next 3 weeks were the hardest of Alex's life. He lied to Halden on the phone. Nothing concrete yet. She's careful. Very routine. He sent carefully staged photos. Elena at the grocery store, the library, the cafe. Nothing incriminating. Nothing real. He helped Elena move documents. He connected her with a lawyer 2 towns over. He and Tom created safe places where she could hide when Halden got suspicious. There were failures. One night, Halden and 2 unidentified men showed up at Alex's garage. They searched his equipment, asked questions. Alex showed them the fake photo files he'd prepared, his hands steady even though his heart was racing. Halden left saying, You're either incompetent or lying to me. Either way, this doesn't end well for you. The fear was constant. The weight of the debt grew heavier. Halden started adding interest, late fees, penalties. But slowly, painfully slowly, Elena found her strength. She gathered evidence. Her voice grew clearer. Her hands stopped shaking. And Alex discovered something. He could live with debt. He couldn't live with being complicit in someone's destruction. 14 months later, Alex stood outside the courthouse on a bright May morning. Elena walked down the steps with a folder of legal documents. The restraining order granted. The divorce finalized. The evidence of abuse on record. She was free. Tom waited at the bottom, hugged her quickly, relief visible on his face. Alex hung back, his camera around his neck, always there now, but different. He used it differently. The debt was still there. Bigger now. $23,000 with all the penalties Halden had added. A judgment against him. Wage garnishment that would follow him for years. His photography business had collapsed. No thanks to Halden, who fabricated words that got around. Carter? He's unreliable. Don't hire him. For 6 months, he'd barely survived. Worked at a print shop. Delivered food at night. Lived on ramen and instant coffee. But then something shifted. Elena told her story. Other women came forward. A journalist investigated. Halden's empire cracked. And different people started calling Alex. A women's shelter needed someone to take photos for their fundraising campaign. A legal aid organization wanted someone they could trust. A domestic violence advocacy group needed documentation that would hold up in court. The work was harder. It didn't pay several thousands. But it meant everything. Alex rented a tiny studio space above a laundromat. His gallery show never happened. His magazine career never materialized. But he photographed faces that told real stories. Survivors. Fighters. People reclaiming their lives. One evening, he sat on the steps outside his studio, watching the sun set behind the old church steeple. He reached into his pocket and pulled out the 2 stones. He'd carried them every day. One black, one white. 2 truths. He understood now what the old man had meant. The dark truth was easy. Protect yourself, follow the debt, don't ask questions that complicate your survival. The bright truth was harder. Do what's right, even when it costs you everything. Alex had chosen. And that choice had broken him financially, probably forever. But it had also made him into the photographer he'd always wanted to be. Someone who captured truth, who saw people clearly, who used his camera for something that mattered. He put the stones back in his pocket. Tomorrow, a woman was coming to the studio. Her husband was threatening her. She needed photos for a restraining order. Alex would take them. Not because it paid well, it didn't. But because now he knew what his camera was actually for. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed this story, please like, share and subscribe for more. Thank you.